Stephen A. Smith certainly seems to be happy with his new partner, Shannon Sharpe, after Shannon Sharpe left Undisputed and Skip Bayless and came to First Take to partner with Stephen A. Smith on ESPN. But now on the Joe Budden podcast, he is revealing what we all have known the entire time, what Stephen A. Smith and ESPN tried to lie about multiple times, that Stephen A. Smith is the reason Max Kellerman got fired from First Take, and likely the reason he got fired, period, from ESPN. I didn't like working with him. 76 days after ESPN fired his colleague, Stephen A. Smith comes clean on the stale environment. And Stephen A. Smith essentially laid out what we've all been saying for a long time, what Outkick reported years ago that Stephen A. Smith flat out lied about, that he threatened to quit ESPN if they didn't remove Max Kellerman from First Take. Now, I'm not the biggest Max Kellerman fan, certainly, but the fact that this all went down and everybody called it out, yet Stephen A. Smith continued to lie about it is very interesting, especially when he tried to claim that Skip Bayless is the one that forced Shannon Sharpe out and tried to shame him for that, all this stuff, while he is actually the one that did that to his co-host, Max Kellerman. Stephen A. threatened to quit if ESPN didn't demote Max Kellerman. Stephen A. Smith is still bragging that he forced ESPN to demote and eventually fire Max Kellerman 2 years later. Smith appeared on the Joe Budden podcast Thursday and detailed the moments that led to the network removing Kellerman from First Take. I walked upstairs and said, if Max is so important to you, then give him First Take. I'll leave. 2 hours later, I got the call that he was being removed. Without a hint of irony, Smith joked about torpedoing Kellerman's career after spending 2 weeks complaining that Skip Bayless supposedly had Shannon Sharpe removed from Undisputed. And we do have some of this here I want to let you guys listen to. There's about 90 seconds. The whole thing about Kellerman probably goes on about 5 minutes or so. You can check that out on the Joe Budden podcast. But here's a little bit from Stephen A. Smith.
I didn't like working with him, man. It's just that damn simple. I didn't like it. I thought the show was stale. I thought that we had flatlined when it came to the public at large. And I'm trying to win. But you weren't an athlete.
These are the things. Now he goes into reasons about why he didn't think that Max Kellerman was a good fit, because he wasn't an athlete and he wasn't a journalist. Yeah, it's such respect for journalists nowadays, isn't there?
And you weren't a journalist. And the absence of the two components left people wondering, why should we listen to you? Okay, well, you might have had that figured out on Sports Nation, or you might have had that figured out on another show. But on this show, if you looked at the content emanating in the social stratosphere, meaning YouTube and other components that you use to measure one's cachet, Q ratings, focus groups, all of these different things, it was like I was damn near doing the show by myself because we were oceans apart in terms of cachet. Well, how are you oceans apart from me if you sitting right across from me? I've been very honest and very consistent about it. There's nothing personal. We weren't enemies or anything. To be real, we ain't spoke since, other than hi and bye, or if I had to go on the show when they were doing the morning show.
Can't say that's really surprising that Max Kellerman didn't want to talk to him after this, after he got him forced out of the job.
I would get interviewed, but there's been no conversations since, and that's fine with me. That's no problem, because it wasn't like we were boys or anything like that. But at the end of the day, it was all business to me, and it was about, look, man, I'm trying to win, and I don't believe I can win with you.
So there you go. Very frank statements from Stephen A. Smith about Max Kellerman. And like I said, the whole thing about him threatening to quit unless they essentially demoted and then fired Max Kellerman, that's in there too. The irony comes when Stephen A. Smith is complaining about these very same things happening to other people, whether it's Shannon Sharpe, whether, like he said the other day, he was mad that ESPN laid off black talents like Keyshawn Johnson and Michael Irvin. Well, Stephen A., you are the one who was behind a white person at ESPN getting demoted and eventually getting fired. But it didn't seem to be a problem. That's all business for you then. And now, 2 years later, he's finally being blatantly honest about everything. Yes, it was totally and completely his decision. Something that we've known, something we've heard little bits about before, but he's never spoken quite so frankly about it. I guess now he's perfectly willing to do so. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.